All right. We travel to game number 2, which means same game parlay number 2. We have 4 legs. We're going to do 4 legs a game. We have 4 legs. $100 brings home $460. And once again, I love this. I want to get in bed with this parlay. We have 6 wild card matchups. We have 6 same game parlays. Loop, we have an AFC North rivalry matchup, a rivalry that goes back as far as time. It's 9.5 point spread, the biggest spread in Ravens Steelers matchup history.
Big spread for an in-division game.
Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. We travel to Baltimore, and let's get into it. Loop, let's bring up gentleman number 1. Not a guy a lot of people are probably looking at. Not a guy I am necessarily feeling fully confident about, but when we sit in these chairs, we love, once again, I'll say it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it in the future, we love to buy low.
Yep.
Not only on teams, but on players. I think we just witnessed one of the worst performances by a wide receiver in Week 18 in National Football League history. We're staring at George Pickens.
Not a guy, not a foxhole guy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Not a guy you're out in battle with, you look to your left, you want to see George Pickens.
Not the biggest glue guy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Catching the grenade, tossing it over to your side of the foxhole. But also not the best guy to bet on sometimes.
You know, in the first quarter.
Doesn't like to run his routes all the time.
You know, in the first quarter with this guy.
Get him going, Russ.
You got to get him going.
But I will say, in a big game like this, if the Steelers want any chance, they got to feed the guy.
You got to feed him.
In the one game they played against the Ravens this year, 12 targets, 8 catches, and a touchdown.
That's really when the train was on track
89
for the
yards.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Didn't play in their second game.
Yep. So our sample size is small with this season. He had 89 yards in that game. He's coming off probably the worst game in his career. So with that being said, leg number 1, we're going to roll with George Pickens at 50-plus receiving yards.
Famous last words.
Famous last words. They've limped into the playoffs. This scares me. This reminds me when the Philadelphia Eagles were 9-1, 10-1, and then lost those last 5-6 games of the regular season, went down to Tampa and got slapped.
Yeah.
This scares me a little bit, but I'm glad it's not any other AFC opponent. It's an in-division opponent.
Yep.
You kind of throw a lot of things out the window. They've limped into the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming to this game haven't scored more than 17 points in their final 4 games, going against a Baltimore Ravens team who comes into this game scoring 30-plus points in their last 4 games.
Maybe it makes the Steelers dangerous.
You got to feed Pickens if you want any hope. 50-plus receiving yards.
2 personal fouls, 2 taunting penalties.
We're not asking for much.
Just
That's
get the
leg
yards.
number 1.
Just get across the 50 mark.
That's leg number 1. Then, for leg number 2, we go on the other side of the football. We are running the football. The king has received his crown. He just beat Jamal Lewis's franchise single-season rushing touchdown record that has been held for 20 years.
Yep.
He capped off Week 18 with scoring 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter that received a lot of glory for a lot of people around this beautiful country. Derrick Henry, we have him for an anytime touchdown, and that is leg number 2.
That taxes and Henry getting in the end zone. 18 touchdowns in 17 games. Had 162 on the ground, and the Steelers in their last game didn't score. Get him in the end zone.
I feel like we're going to be dancing with the red zone a lot in this game.
Yep.
And I feel like now with the Zay Flowers injury, it feels like obviously Mark Andrews seems to getting in every week.
Yep.
Mark Andrews is getting in every week, but so is Derrick Henry. So when we get down there in that red zone, just feed the man.
All it takes is 1 carry inside the 5, and he's getting in.
And he can also hit home run balls. He can hit home run balls.
There we go.
So that's leg number 2, Derrick Henry for an anytime touchdown. And now we stick to his partner in crime, the 2-headed monster, the man handing him off the football. I feel like I love this spot. It has been smooth sailing for the Baltimore Ravens. And sometimes when we are under the lights, Lamar Jackson in his playoff career under the lights is 0-2, straight up. When the lights are the brightest in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson sometimes They get out of their normal rhythm.
Prove it,
Their
Tom.
their normal flow.
There's no team that looks better when they're good and looks worse when they're bad.
It's unreal.
It's unreal.
And it comes down to them just sticking to their game plan.
Yep.
So with leg number 3, I love Lamar Jackson to get frisky with his feet. When times are bad, when times are good, it's usually with Lamar having to make plays on his own.
Yep.
You know? Get that first down when it matters most.
That's where he's most comfortable.
Scramble.
Even when he's uncomfortable, he's comfortable moving.
He is. And an AFC North rivalry matchup, line a bunch of points. I love for leg number 3, Lamar Jackson, 50-plus rushing yards.
That has hit in all but one playoff game he's ever played in. He has 521 rushing yards in 6 playoff games. Even when they're losing or when they're winning,
Yeah.
he's comfortable on the move.
I love these 3 legs so far.
Domino effect, dude, just like you said.
Once again, it's a domino effect.
Ravens play with the lead. Pickens from behind. I love it.
Henry finds 6. Lamar's getting frisky with his feet to set the tone.
Yep.
You're coming out of the tunnel. These teams know each other. There's no 2 teams in the National Football League. You look around, there's rivalries like Cowboys, Eagles. There's Packers, Lions. There's Steelers, Ravens.
And if all 3 of these are going to hit, Henry's going to get in the end zone. Lamar's going to be moving with his feet. Steelers are going to be down, throwing the ball. What's that mean for leg number 4?
Fourth and final leg. We keep things short and sweet. Cat's out of the bag. Ravens on the money line.
They're not losing this game.
They're not losing this game. Favorites of 10 or more points. We're at 9.5. Favorites in this spot in the wild card round, 17-1 straight up.
Yep.
I think we're looking at this big spread for a reason. Can the Steelers cover? I like the Steelers to cover. Mike Tomlin laying this much points. It's a wild world that we are living in, but the Baltimore Ravens are not losing this game. Give us the Ravens on the money
This
line.
feels like a winner.
So 4 legs to recap. George Pickens, 50-plus receiving yards. A Derrick Henry anytime touchdown. Leg number 3, Lamar to get frisky with his feet with 50-plus rushing. And our 4th and final leg, the Baltimore Ravens to get the job done at home against the Steelers. $100 brings home $460, and we will see you for same game parlay number 3, Broncos-Bills.